Hello everyone and welcome back to Fournilwrittenalloverit. The season is upcoming and approaching very quickly, and we will soon be back bringing you the regular videos for the upcoming campaign. Before we do that, we must do our League One predictions, the moment we've all been waiting for. I'll get it in there nice and early. If your club is on this list and you think they're lower than they should be, I'm really sorry. I've been as brutal and as honest as I can possibly be with this table, and if your club is lower than you're expecting or think it should be, then it gives them the perfect opportunity to prove me completely wrong. These are predictions, they are not gospel. There will be some howlers in here, and there will be 1,001 reasons why your club should not be where I've put it, or should be where I've put it, hopefully. So please bear that in mind when you're writing your comment, which I very much look forward to reading. Get down there, let me know what you thought of what I'm about to say to you, and what I got right, what I got wrong. Always love stimulating debate and discussion with these kind of videos, and this one is no different, so get yourself down there right away. But watch the video first, of course, it goes without saying. I've tried to factor in as much as I can. The transfer windows changed my mind on quite a lot of what I said in my very early League One predictions, which is on the channel and was a couple of months ago now. Some for the better, some for the worse, and we'll get onto that in just a moment. This is a really difficult video to make, and I'm aware that will be some transfers that happen between the filming, editing and uploading of this video, so bear with me on that. I'll pop a disclaimer down in the comments if there are any big movements or big announcements that happen between when I film and when you see this. It's been such a fluid League One summer, and it's unlike I think any summer transfer window that we've seen in quite some time. That's not me trying to excuse some honkers that are inevitably upcoming, but these predictions have been swapped and changed to the extent where it's become a nightmare, but we're going to give it a go nonetheless. As I mentioned just now, the brand new season is right around the corner. You can almost count on your hands the number of days we've got left until League One football gets going once again, which is what we're all incredibly excited about, myself included, and I know you've chosen to spend a little bit of time with me, which means you're probably just as excited as I am. So what better time for me and some mates of mine who you may well recognise to start a brand new podcast. The first episode is already out, so if you want to hear that, it's well worth a listen. The second episode may even be out by the time you see this too. Type in That League One Podcast wherever you get your podcasts, add it to your list so you hear it every week, or follow the link tree in the description down below. Also, to make sure you don't miss out on a moment of the action right here on this channel, drop a subscribe down below, leave a like on the video as well if you think I get any of these near on right. Drop us a follow on Instagram and Twitter as well. Those are the two best places to get all the behind the scenes access to everything Fournilwrittenalloverit. If that feels like a little bit of you, get over there. But I'm not telling you anything that you already haven't done, so thank you very much indeed if you're one of those people. Very excited to bring you along on the Pompey journey this season. It dawned on me a couple of days ago just how busy I'm going to be for the next 9 months or so. Probably more excited than I would be at this stage normally too, and we'll flesh that out in just a minute. Right, here we go then, let's get these locked in, starting with 24th place, Carlisle United. I'm terribly sorry to all the Carlisle fans that I upset in the previous video where I put them rock bottom in my very early League One predictions. I did express concern at that point for them going down. Unfortunately, I cannot see any other outcome at this moment in time. I appreciate they're a very stable club in a climate of off-field issues riddling football clubs up and down this division, which we'll chat a little bit more about in a moment. But I feel like other teams have been far more aggressive in the transfer window. Some of those teams on another occasion would be put in the same bracket as Carlisle United for this season. That's not to disrespect any of the transfers that they have done, because by and large I think it's good business, and keeping hold of Owen Moxon I think is going to be really important because he's such a dynamic player, and it looks like he's about to, or is in pending progress. The process is pending for him to pen a longer term deal at the football club. The ownership seem very keen to keep him, and I will make sure there's a positive thing, or at least a couple of things that are positives to say about each and every single one of these teams. And I think their manager is one of their greatest assets. He's worked wonders at this club before, and there is no reason why he can't do that again. I also think they've got one of the best kits in the league for this season too, and I very much look forward to seeing that in the flesh later on in the year. 23rd, Cheltenham Town, probably one of the few predictions that hasn't changed too much from my initial thoughts a month or two ago here on the channel. The arrival of the experienced Curtis Davis, albeit not a like-for-like replacement, does soften the blow of the departure of Alfie May this summer, but I think we could all see that one coming from a mile off. I always feel like it's a bit of a one-dimensional thing to say they're going to miss out on so many goals as a result of losing Alfie May, but he was a noticeable effort in avoiding the drop for them in the last couple of seasons from League One, and I worry that they're going to feel that pain quite badly. It's time for Aidan Keener to step up and do what he's been doing. To be fair to him, since January, and bag a few goals for Cheltenham this season, hopefully more than a few for their sake. There was a point last season where I think we all thought they were heading down. I think even maybe Cheltenham Town fans thought that they were staring down the barrel of League Two, as I remember saying, but they avoided that brilliantly, so who's to say that they're not going to do that again. 22nd, Northampton Town. I said in the early League One predictions video how I wasn't keen on predicting newly promoted sides to go down, and I don't actually think Northampton got a mention in that relegation concern bracket. But with some of the business elsewhere, which we'll get onto in a moment, twinned with the lack of recruitment themselves, it looks okay when taken in isolation, 3 or 4 names through the door, but for a newly promoted side, I just don't think it's quite going to work. I'm a really big fan of Sam Hoskins. Mitch Pinnock is really creative. Some excellent news on Tyrese Simpson, which addresses a bit of an output issue that they may have had. They're just not quite enough of a squad at the minute, and they've got a worrying injury trend, so apologies to any Cobblers fans watching. 21st, Shrewsbury Town. I'm a little bit unsure on everything at Shrewsbury at the moment. Great for them to have Winchester back at the club. He's a player that they know well. Morgan Feeney's another good one. Losing Luke Leahy and Matthew Pennington is a major concern of mine for Shrewsbury. The rest of the transfers also I feel are a little bit hit and miss, and I absolutely loved Matty Taylor as a Pompey fan. He scored some absolute worldies for us, but I'm unsure how he will fare, and as such it's a much more modest prediction from me for Shrewsbury given where they finished last season. 20th, Cambridge United. I was quite concerned that Cambridge are going to go down this season. Significant outgoings from the Abbey Stadium this summer that's been well documented. Headliners Sam Smith and Harvey Nibbs going to Reading, and that's coming from a group that only just about kept themselves up last season. I'm really pleased they've brought Danny Andrew in on a 1-year deal. It's not a front page headline grabbing signing, but I think it really works for both club and player. And earlier this week, Sully Kai was another addition which bumped him up a place for me. Mark Bonner does know how to weather a relegation storm, and I'm pretty semi-confident that he's going to be able to do that again. 19th, Port Vale. Summer business for me has been good. They're a classic example of going out and improving, identifying those areas of weakness, improving in every position if they possibly can. And as a result, we go back into the League One season, and Port Vale are certainly a better side than the last time we saw them. Conor Grant is a great signing, as is Connor Ripley, who I chose in my draft 11 as my goalkeeper between the sticks in Ben's video at the tail end of last season. However, my issue, and as such their issue, is their lack of output up top. I think Ellis Harrison's great, and I think he did well in a Pompey shirt. I wasn't his biggest fan, but you can't solely be relying on that in League One. If you're a Port Vale fan, you're going to need some more attacking options, and I hope that comes in time for when the season gets going. 18th place, Wigan Athletic. Interesting to hear that Jack Watmore, amongst others, but notably Jack Watmore, just for the Pompey interest, has been advised by the PFA to jump ship, so that's an interesting one there. There was, of course, over the summer a genuine concern for Wigan as a football club. That looks like it's been salvaged. However, it is still not looking like a great situation for them. I think if you're kicking off the season already 8 points behind the pack, some might say that that's quite an easy number to make up. You think about it, it's almost 3 wins, which if you think about that in a wider context, 8 points out of 12 from a month of 4 League One games, that's pretty much a month that you're missing out on. You're trying to catch up by a month. The psychological impact, of course, of you carrying that round is not going to be easy, but Sean Maloney has pulled a squad together before, and there is no reason to doubt that he can't do that again. We're going to have, of course, had success at this level before, not perhaps under the same financial constraints that they are now. I think they might just find a way out of it. 17th, Fleetwood Town. There are off-field issues with the Cods' ownership, as many of us know, and I'm sure you know it's been well documented on the pitch. It's been a pretty pleasing window. Danny Mayer brings bags of experience and goals from midfield, which was required. That was a real pitfall of the Cods last season. There's a few exciting young talents joining them this summer too. I'd even look back to January. Jenny Stockley, Jack Marriott. That's business that shouldn't go under the radar. I think they're going to be really positive for them this season. I just worry about when January comes around, and they probably have already, the powers at Fleetwood have probably already thought about this, but what happens if the owner can't discharge his duties, can't give that rubber stamp to deals that want to be done? I worry they might get a little bit left behind. One thing I do remember Ben saying to me a couple of weeks ago was that each of the 5 signings that they've brought in are to go straight into the first 11, so the business is straight to the point. 16th, Leyton Orient. I was a little alarmed towards the beginning of the window with Leyton Orient. Really excited to have them back in League One given all the troubled times, and I remember watching them tumble. It was a real dramatic tumble, and there was a real concern for their status as a football club, but luckily it's nice to see them back in the 3rd tier. There was initial concern surrounding the loss of their keeper to Premier League Burnley. Paul Smith to QPR as well to the Championship. It was looking like a little bit of an uphill battle for Leyton Orient. Then along came Dan Adjei, making the step up alongside his new club. He's an incredibly powerful goal scorer with the potential to hammer home loads for Leyton Orient this season. Pompey fans know all about the man who will be alongside him, or perhaps just even sitting slightly off him, Joe Pigott. With those two, I think they'll be just fine in League One. 15th, Stevenage. This is an interesting accolade to give Stevenage, but I mean this with the absolute utmost respect to all Stevenage fans that may be watching this. I think they've had the most unexpected yet best window, certainly from a club jumping up to League One, To think 2 seasons ago they finished 21st in League 2, that is a remarkable turnaround, and I'm hugely impressed by what they've achieved. Personnel-wise, plenty of additions in number, but also some top quality in amongst those signings. I could chat to you for ages about all the Thompsons that have joined. The standouts for me would be Louis and Ben. On his day, Ben Thompson is a cut above and manifested that during his time at Posh and Pompey. I really like the work from the recruitment team, and I think Steve Evans has got a really good squad on his hands here. Put it this way, perhaps the best indicator would be to say, I'm not looking forward to going there in the last weekend of August. I think we'll be in for a really tough afternoon. 14th place, Exeter City, a decent window for Exeter. Some pretty big outgoings. Of course, we knew about Jay Stansfield. Giovanni Brown wouldn't be playing any more football for them either. Archie Collins is a tough one to replace, and there are a few risks with inexperienced loanees coming into the club. Having said that, Vince Harper and particularly Jack Aitchison are 2 particular standouts from an overall impressive list of arrivals. Their debut season back in League One was a really solid one last year, and with another 3 or 4 more through the door, I'm expecting more of the same from them this season. 13th place, Burton Albion. I hope Burton's window doesn't go unnoticed this year, and I hope they get the outcome that they want from the business, because I think they've been really clever with their recruitment. They were dress departments all over the pitch. Great shout bringing Jamal Blackman in. I think he's one of the best shot stoppers I've seen from a team playing against Pompey in a little while. Cole Stockton could and probably will be very damaging to a lot of League One defences this season. Raheem Harper, the list goes on. Best window Burton Albion have had in years. 12th place, Wycombe Wanderers. I had some initial reservations about Matt Bloomfield's Wycombe side heading into this season. Of course, their first full campaign without Gareth Ainsworth at the helm or in the dugout, who embodied Wycombe Wanderers and everything they stand for over the last couple of seasons. However, plenty of really good moves in the last week or so. Luke Lee, Kane Vincent-Young, couple of standouts. Dale Taylor on loan from Nottingham Forest. He improves the goal threat significantly. So I'm anticipating a pretty steady season. Of course, we're led to believe a couple more arrivals are expected through the door at Wycombe. Others are more confident than I am, so we shall see. 11th place, Bristol Rovers. I think this Bristol Rovers side will be everything we would expect, have become accustomed to accept and expect from their managers' teams. Rub opposition up the wrong way, involved in plenty of barnstormers and high-scoring games, and I would anticipate they'll come out on top by and large more often than not this season. Similar to their last campaign, but perhaps a little bit more composure in a defensive sense. I think that was a real drawback for them last time out. Of course, the signing of Giovanni Brown has got people talking. Some would say he should not be near a football pitch. Others will say he's been charged, so let's move on with our lives. Either way, certainly something that stirs debate. His manager is by no means a darling angel either, and I'm really hoping we win that opening game at Fratton in just over a week or so's time now. 10th place, Lincoln City. I'm anticipating a place or 2 higher for Lincoln this season. I mentioned on Jack's channel that it wouldn't surprise me if the Imps broke the seal of a single-figure finish in League One this season. Again, because I know they've done that before. We all know about Rico. That move felt like a good one for all involved. I know I have my reservations on Tyler Walker, and Pompey fans watching this will share the same reservations. However, he did really well at Lincoln last time round, and joining back up with them on a permanent basis, I think it'll be a really profitable place for him, and I'm sure we'll see a return of that form. A handful of permanent additions aside from the 2 I mentioned just there. Jalen Brown is an excellent performer for Sheffield Wednesday last season. I think Jakey Boy is in for an enjoyable ride this time round. 9th place, Peterborough United. Some significant outgoings at Peterborough this season, but also some significant incomings and replacements in key areas too. Important to remember that suspended points deduction taking place at some point this season, not quite sure when, so I think it might just take them away from any promotion push, and as such it is a relatively low and modest prediction from me. Darren McAntony is a notoriously ruthless operator at this level. He is in his element when it comes to transfer windows, and this one is by no means an exception. Romany Critchlow is a really tasty arrival actually, very good on the ground, very pacey. Archie Collins is going to dictate the midfield. So all in all, a good window for the Posh. Couple more through the door you would expect, but I don't think they've got much cash to spend. 8th place, Reading. A handful of excellent additions so far at Reading. That is all clouded by this sort of embargo that they're coming out of and going back into. We'll look at the standouts. Sam Smith, Harvey Nibbs, I mentioned with Cambridge there, would have been really keen on having both of them at Pompey for this season. Their partnership's likely to flourish again at the Mad Stad. Harvey Nibbs is a really hard-working, quick and creative player. Sam Smith is a bankable goal scorer. Couple that with Lewis Wing and Charlie Savage, and all of a sudden Reading in my eyes are real competitors. However, similarly with Peterborough's prediction, limited by off-field concerns, it is a bit of a chaotic scene there right now. And as I said, just in the last couple of days they've been put under another embargo. I'm not ignoring the pretty tainted background of their ownership. I'd be anxious as a Reading fan right now. 7th place, Barnsley. It's been a really difficult summer for Barnsley, and I think a lot of their fan base have been left pretty disillusioned by what's going on. Not least the loss of their manager, who took them all the way to the playoff final last season, but of course Mads Anderson and Harry Eisted leaving the club too. I think you could probably see Mads Anderson coming, but I believe Harry Eisted, he was quite keen on staying at the football club, so that could be kicking themselves on that one. They had remarkably bad luck with poor refereeing decisions all the way through last season, right up to the big day at Wembley. They're also in trouble with regards to EFL contraventions of regulations too. 2. I hope it doesn't turn out to be a massive opportunity miss for Barnsley. I'm going to be a little bit cautious with my prediction. Right, we're into the playoffs now. 6th place, Oxford United. I'm pretty sure if you offered any Oxford fan a 6th place finished following the disaster of a season by their standards last year, I'm sure they would absolutely take it. Wardy is quietly confident for a pretty fruitful campaign, and I can absolutely see why. Young, exciting goalkeeper alongside some really standout arrivals. I think Liam Manning at the helm is a real asset to them. He will drive the standards around the place, and he knows exactly how he wants to play football. I know I've given Wardy a bit of stick over the number of times he's mentioned Ruben Rodriguez since he joined up with the football club at the pretty early on in the window, but he's such an impressive talent, one of the standouts for Notts County and one of the standouts in the National League last season. Big move up, and he massively deserves it. He's a magical player, and I'm sure he's going to impress many at the Castle and make a real name for himself. I reckon this one's quite similar to where it was a couple of months ago on the channel, but 5th place Blackpool, they've not got a lot of money to spend, but they've got Neil Critchley back brilliantly defensively under him and will be a problem. But they do have problems of their own. Another club I believe is on the radar of the EFL with regards to contraventions of the regulations. Again, there's so many of these this season. I worry if they feel the pain of Joey Yates leaving, as they potentially could. That may be damaging from an output perspective. However, last time I remember watching Blackpool in League One, they were demolishing teams left, right and centre, and if they bag a playoff place, as they quite potentially could do, there aren't many teams that have a better playoff record than Blackpool, even up and down the land. 6 wins out of 8 playoff finals of Blackpool. That's pretty spectacular. 4th place Charlton Athletic. There's an argument to be made for Charlton having one of the top 3 windows in League One, given some of the names that they've brought in. The headline grab, of course, is Alfie May. That man is literally goals galore, and I think alongside the likes of Miles Leeburn existing there at Charlton, they're in for a really profitable year. Lloyd Jones, such a good shot stopper, and Harry Isted after his man of the match performance at Wembley at the tail end of last season. Panucci Kamara is a real standout of an addition as well. When he's fit and firing, he could cause all sorts of problems, and it's a team that's really littered with pace. I think they're probably 2 or 3 players away from making a real impact on this League One season. Terry Taylor is an absolutely fantastic addition. That lad's got arguably one of the best corner deliveries on him in the division. There's a brilliant team on Dean Holden's hands, and he'll do really well this season with the group he has. They'll want to be stronger defensively by the time the first game comes around, but it's a window I'm sure the Addicts will be really pleased with. 3rd place Pompey. There's hours and hours of discussion and debate on this channel with me and the team discussing how we're feeling about the season. We've chatted about minimum expectations. We've gone into detail on all the signings we've made so far. And I have to say, I'm massively impressed. You know I'm massively impressed and happy with the window that we've had at Pompey. It's a really regular occurrence, particularly as the seasons go on, for us to be involved in this kind of discourse and debate around, are Pompey going to be up there? They're among the favourites. Is this going to be the season they do it? Ultimately, we're all normally left pretty disheartened when we get absolutely nowhere near it. What isn't commonplace is the genuine belief in the group to back up that ambition, and I feel like a lot of the fan base have that. The general vibe around the place I get is that this must be the year. My personal view is that playoffs must be the absolute minimum, and then automatics should be the target. It has to be go big or go home this time round, and this club absolutely must be promoted one way or another, because otherwise the place is just going to descend into absolute chaos, and I think that's a widely shared opinion. Worth pointing out, I think the club, recruitment team, commercial, operations, media, everyone has done absolutely everything they can to ensure that the stars truly do align this season. Marlon Pack announced his club captain. Home shirts released way before we were expecting them to. The stadium works is pretty much completed now. They're even doing the Fratton Park sign on the new Milton end. Season tickets were snapped up and renewed faster than they have been for a number of seasons now. 12 signings and potentially even maybe one more by the time you see this. The vast majority of those, of course, being permanent deals and arrivals. That's, to me, suggests all sorts of connotations about a home in football for these players, and a notion of buying into the project that has been sold to them by Moose and Rich Hughes. Anthony Scully adds the goals and is probably one of the division's best wingers. Paddy Lane is just getting started with us. Gavin White is a superb addition, and I'm reliably informed that there aren't many better defenders at this level than Regan Poole, and I can vouch for that. I saw his touch the other night. Every pass he played was gift wrapped, and he was an absolute joy to watch. When you throw in the goal machine of Colby, Pack, Morel, Zach Swanson, Riley Towler, and consider the arrivals of Cassini Yengi, Christian Sadie, and others, it all starts to get a little bit exciting. There are some risks in there, of course, but I don't think any transfer story, any transfer success story is built without taking a few risks. Some will pay off, some won't. That's fine. That's where your intelligence when it comes to recruitment kicks in, to sequester your business from others, and that's, I think, what we've implemented. I appreciate the details I've just outlined there. Haven't won us any games of League One football yet, fully aware of that, but you can't build a house without solid foundations, and I don't think we could have done any better in preparing ourselves than we have done. I think we are probably that creative, forward-thinking midfielder away from a top 2 finish this season. I also appreciate the conflict of interest in this one, on, but I think it's about time that this unadulterated, unwavering support and backing of this club from the passionate fan base as we have now just might be the time to reward that. Now, you might think this is a bit of a cautious prediction compared to some of the other ones you may have seen in the space, what other people are expecting. I've been back and forth on whether to go for autos for Pompey or just drop us into the playoffs. That progressive 10 vacancy does worry me a little bit and is what's stopping me potentially from bumping us up into those autos. Even if that position is filled, I'm a little bit reluctant on out and out autos promotion. I'm also going to put an asterisk next to it, subject to change come quarter to 5 on the 5th of August. Second place, Bolton Wanderers, one of the best squads in the division for me at Bolton. Not having either James Trafford or Connor Bradley, as we know, is a shame to them. That's pretty much where the negatives end, to be honest with you, although business is still to be done, and I'm sure Bolton fans will be hoping for a few more additions between now and when we get back going in a week or so's time. I'm pretty sure they'll be able to consider this season a successful one this time round. Carlos Mendes-Gomez is one of those key marquee signings that they're expecting a handful more of. The outstanding for me with Bolton is alongside your star performers like your Dion Charles, Santos, Johnston at the back. In the last few seasons, particularly in League One, they've always had a positive correlation with the league. They're progressing very nicely under Ian Evatt, and I think if the pattern takes its natural course that it's seeming like it's going to do so, they'll be in for an impressive campaign. First place, Derby County. This hasn't changed from a couple of months ago. There's very little doubting what Paul Warne will do this season. To be fair, it hasn't changed from top of the league that I gave it a couple of months ago, but I've got even more reason to be waxing lyrical about Derby County. There's almost too many shouts. I've got a list here. Callum Elder, Joe Ward, Curtis Nelson, Sonny Bradley, Kane Wilson is the best of a fantastic bunch there. That is an excellent shout from Paul Warne and his team. Kane Wilson is exceptional and he is incredibly difficult to play against. Losing McGoldrick may yet still play a part in their success this season. I'm sure that one is a distant memory for many. Connor Washington's by no means a like-for-like replacement for Dave McGoldrick, but he scored goals for Paul Warne before. What their manager looks for in the makeup of a player is no secret. He doesn't tend to entertain other than the obvious Kane Wilson. He's not really interested in entertaining that up-and-coming talent market. He's only really got his eyes on boys in the primes of their career with a taste of what it's like to be promoted already and ones that are keen to do that again. You can see exactly why he wants to do that. That mentality is much easier to achieve when you have lived experience of doing it on the pitch. My one concern with Paul Warne, and I didn't voice this a little while ago, but I'm going to voice it now. Before in his career, he's always been backs against the wall. He's always been in a challenging environment to motivate a group of players low on confidence. Of course, he's dealt with that remarkably, but he is going to have to completely change his philosophy and strategy to dealing with an achieving group when it's going well. With all that in mind, your League One champions in my eyes this season are Derby County, and that draws to a close my League One predictions for this season. Did I get them right? Did I get them wrong? Now is your time to get down in the comment section down below and let me know exactly that. Please be kind. I've tried my very best. As I said, tried to get as many factors in there as I possibly can to be able to give you a where my mind is thinking at the moment. Of course, there will be some stinkers, as I mentioned. I'm hoping I get a few spot on because we've got a little bit of a competition going on with the boys on the podcast and I really don't want to lose. So with that in mind, thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. May have something special coming your way before the season gets going as well, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. Until then, keep the faith and as always, play up Pompey.